Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. I'm Joe Gould. I'm with Adam Winters, and we're looking at Leprechaun Back to the Hood, spelled with a 2 and spelled with a THA, and it came out in 2003. And I'm going to lead with Entertainment Weekly's comment, which was, if a movie could spark a race riot, this is it.
Well, I don't know about that. We are recording it on St. Patrick's Day, but we could just as easily be doing this on 4/20, April 20th.
If you saw promotional material for this movie, you might have seen a poster that had Back in the Hood.
Oh,
but they changed it to Back to the Hood before it actually came out. And I know that because if you look at this movie on Vudu, you see both. And I do question, Are we looking at these reboots the wrong way? Was Part 5 really the reboot? There's a 2 in the title.
I think every one of these is a reboot. You know, in the very opening scene, which I guess is narrated by Miss Cleo, she opens a book and it says Chapter 6, which suggests it's all one big story of the Leprechaun somehow.
I like the fact that they don't really require continuity. You could just jump in and enjoy a Leprechaun movie, and maybe you pick a good one and maybe you don't. But it is a little confusing, and it is a little odd. This is very clearly Leprechaun 2 if you look at the poster.
Or Leprechaun 6 if you watch it. Chapter 6 for some reason.
Anyways, not really important. This movie was not what I was hoping for. I was hoping they would maintain continuity for one movie, and they did not.
This one feels like a very hard break with most of what we've known of the Leprechaun. I don't know if he dishes one rhyme in this whole movie.
He doesn't. No, he doesn't. I asked AI to find me a good limerick in this movie because I couldn't remember them having any, and it confirmed that there are none.
What's weird?
Grok did then tell me, hey, for purposes of a podcast, here's some limericks you can drop, but they're not very good.
No thanks, Grok.
I will say this. It gave me one for if I wanted to beg Warwick Davis to come back, what would we say to him? And this is what it came up with. There once was Warwick so bold, the leprechaun star worth his gold. He quit after 6, but we're in a fix. Return to the role. Claim your pot of gold.
Well, we got to talk about the movie, so you go ahead. Give the direction how you want to do this one.
Yeah, I don't want to spend as much time on this movie so that we have some time at the end to talk about, like, rank and rate the whole series. And honestly, this movie's not really worth talking about for an hour. 5 had a lot of good humor. It was absurd in a really cool kind of way. We questioned whether or not we should enjoy all the humor, but I think we did anyways. This one, it's more of a classic horror movie. Less quips, no limericks. They do drop some one-liners, and he does say some clever stuff. The dialogue in this movie is better, for what it's worth. It's basically the story of some black kids who've had bad luck and are in the hood, and they're corrupted by gold in their quest to get out of the hood. In the brief period they are out of the hood, they only show them with white people. I found that hilarious. And then there's like no white people in the hood, and there's no black people in the city. Did you notice that?
There is that one guy who comes to buy weed from the 2 male characters.
Well, he's from the city, and he recognizes he has no business being there. And I think maybe that's part of what Entertainment Weekly was getting at when they said, if a movie could spark a race riot, this is it.
You got one white police officer that I remember.
Who loses a leg. I like that death, by the way. That was good. And then the use of the leg to be able to drive the car. That was great. There's a lot I did like in this movie for what it's worth in terms of the kill scenes. I think the actors in general are pretty decent. I don't think they have a lot to work with in terms of the plot. I don't know. It's underwhelming after the 5th movie. I like the 5th movie.
Well, the fact that they leaned so hard into the rap, and this one is none of it. You know, it's weird to leave that behind when it was, again, the rhyming is such a key part of the Warwick Davis Leprechaun shtick, and you just abandon all of that when it seems like, I think even is there a promotional poster for this movie or DVD cover that even has rap on it? Like they promote it?
Oh, yeah, it says Evil has a whole new rap.
But there's none in this movie? We thought there would be.
No, it's, I just feel cheated by this movie. And there's just not a lot of comedy in this movie. So it's not really making a parody of anything other than the ladies in the salon.
Oh, yeah. Yolanda and whoever else. One of the male characters, he feels like he's in the movie for comic relief. What's his name? Is it Jamie? Is that it?
Yes. Jamie is the stoner friend. He buys 2 trash bags full of weed to share with the children of the neighborhood.
I'm very surprised he's the kind of character that lives through the end of this movie. I did not expect him to make it.
Yeah, I think they wanted to show these characters redeem themselves, for lack of a better word.
As opposed to the first movie, when the more we learned about them, the more we realized they weren't that good of people, even if they thought they were.
Yeah, something like that. And I think the moral of this story is that in the opening you have the leprechaun, and we learn that the leprechauns were summoned by an ancient king to protect his gold from all the selfish people coming to take it. And then the king, who's not a good king either, summons the leprechauns or the fairies from the forest, and they all protect and kill all these people. And then they all return except for the one, our leprechaun, Warwick. I don't know if he's corrupted or just feels everyone around him is corrupt and he's really the secret good guy. And then the moral story, though, is eventually Emily and her friends get this gold, and they all have these noble intentions, and they all squander it and waste it and just concede to all their most worst parts of themselves, whether it's drugs or jewelry or whatever. And the leprechaun later says to Emily, because Emily's like, "You're just a selfish little leprechaun." He says, "Don't you presume to tell me right from wrong? You compromised all you believed in once you got the gold, just like all those before you. Your kind is weak and will always give in to your selfish yearnings." That's the closest we get to a limerick.
Yeah, it's weird they didn't put one in. So we should talk about the gold. There's more than 100 coins, shillings or whatever. There might be a lot more.
Yeah, so it's a little pot is now a box. And you get 200 coins per set or per batch, so to speak.
Yeah, every time you open and close it, it just refills.
Yeah. So I suppose it has access to all of the king's gold, wherever that is. So this is more of this is more of an Uncle Scrooge situation where he's got the tower full of gold coins and there's this little magic box that pulls 200 out at a time, like a debit card.
But the leprechaun is still trying to hunt it all down for some reason.
Kind of. He wants the box. He doesn't actually pursue some of the individual coins that got spent.
Well, he goes after the one that got melted down into a tooth.
He does. That's the only one. He has the opportunity when he's hitting the bong to get the gold coin from the guy who stole it from the fat guy.
Yeah.
But if you watch it on camera, he just walks off. He doesn't actually go back and get it.
Really?
And then that may have been a mistake. But
yeah,
a lot of gold gets spent in this movie. He's not pursuing all the third parties, so to speak. He's after the people who stole the gold from the people who stole the gold.
And it sounds like originally there's two backstories in this movie. One is the way back. We get the origin of Leprechaun, and the other one is shortly before this movie, like 1 year before, when a local preacher who's probably less corrupt than the one we saw in the last movie, he seemingly has acquired the gold in order to establish a youth center in the hood. And the leprechaun goes after him for stealing it. And he has the rainbow power, where the rainbow can pinpoint the gold. I assume the gold is buried in the little storage shed underground.
Yeah, it's a little unclear because the name's Father Jacob. He gets killed in the opening scene when he's fighting the leprechaun who wants his gold back. And it's pretty obvious that the gold's either buried in the dirt or it's underground. We don't know if there is an underground yet because we haven't seen that.
Yeah.
Later, they find the gold underground, and it seems to be kind of stuck in some tree roots.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like the kind of thing that the father would be hiding gold at. So, plot hole. There's a lot of plot holes in this movie. That is one of them. And at that point, the father kills the leprechaun with holy water of sorts that has four-leaf clover. Yeah, it's got four-leaf clover juice, basically, in it.
It's got a very good little scene where the hands reach up and pull Leprechaun down. Presumably they're either souls of the damned or other leprechauns. You know, it's like some of those other horror movies, like maybe you saw in a Friday the 13th movie or a Freddy Krueger movie. How would you compare that?
Not quite the same effect as Freddy Krueger's glove grabbing Jason's mask and pulling him down. We can call it the Rose Art version of that.
Okay.
But it works. And then somehow later when they find the gold accidentally, the leprechaun's able to work himself free. So
he's not in deep. He's just under the surface somehow. This construction.
It's almost as if the leprechaun is activated when his gold has been taken. But as long as there's no one pursuing it, he's content to have shallow roots, so to speak,
Yeah.
underground. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense because nothing sets the leprechaun free explicitly other than he just digs himself out of the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've kind of hit the high points of the movie. We have a good fun scene at the beginning of the movie, and it's really kind of the only fun scene where the leprechaun is making first contact with the kids who stole the money or stole the gold, his babies, as he says, and he gets high immediately.
Twice, doesn't he?
Yeah, you could tell he's getting a little. He's enjoying himself.
He hadn't smoked a good pipe in a long time.
Yeah, and he has some slapstick humor with the refrigerator and the what's his name,
Jamie? Yeah, Jamie's making a sandwich and also wondering where his bong went. And
and the leprechaun is trying to get himself organized, and then he gets the munchies and he's looking for something nice in the fridge to eat. He can't find anything that tastes good. And then Jamie closes the door on him, and he's in the fridge, and he just enjoys his smoke, so to speak.
That's the kind of attitude I like from the leprechaun. He's chill. He's chill. Yeah. Just don't mess with his gold.
And his powers definitely stay in the vague. Leprechauns have powers, and they can kind of do what they want. His strength is back and forth, whereas he's fighting with a girl over a knife, and they're struggling, and no one seems to be stronger than the other. And then he's able to rip a cop's leg off with one motion. So it's just a little unclear as to his strength.
I tried to point that out in the last movie. When I saw it, he punched his fist through one of the henchmen, and you thought it was telekinesis. But in this movie, he's doing a lot of that, I think.
Yeah, and he's always had that. When he's focused, he has good power. But most of the time, he's a little man running around, not looking all that threatening. And in this movie, it's just whatever they need it to be in the moment, basically. He does seem a little more durable in this one. He never explodes, loses limbs. His eye comes out one time.
That's true, yeah. He even gets burned in the furnace, and we see the skin melting off. But
that was nice. I like that. That was nice.
But it wasn't his death scene either. It was kind of weird.
Yeah. Well, they had to prove the point that there was only two weaknesses. Fire was not one of them.
We've seen in a lot of movies he's sort of vulnerable to fire. And in that case, he was vulnerable because she tried to melt the gold down in the furnace, and in he went with it.
Yeah. Well, he's always felt pain, whether it caused a significant setback or not. He's always felt pain where he gets hit with a hammer, shot, chopped up into pieces, exploded.
Yeah.
So the fire burning, I could see that, but no, he gets up quicker in this movie when things go wrong. And he gets shot a lot.
Yeah, he does. A lot of bullets.
Yeah.
Because he gets shot 4 times when he assumes he's dead, and he shoots him, I think, 5 or 6 more? Well, it's 3 and 4 the first time. 3 shots, 4 shots, and then another maybe 10 shots at the very end of it.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think the takeaway for that is 4-leaf clover might be his weakness, but 1 4-leaf clover grinded out over 15 bullets is not enough 4-leaf clover.
Is it still a 4-leaf clover if you grind it up?
Well, I mean, I think it's the essence of the clover.
Oh, okay.
That's what they're going for, at least. Not convinced it works. Yeah. But, you know.
I will say, I still think the first movie had the better death scene. 1 clover on a slingshot is better than 1 clover ground up into 15 to 20 bullets.
Yeah, and the delivery of the...
Oh, yeah.
You know, F.U. Lucky Charms is always
1 single shot
classic.
is more impressive than just loading into him. And even then, maybe it doesn't kill him. Maybe it just allows him to be held by the cement that he falls into.
Which my other question on that is, we're under the impression that construction has stopped on this thing for over a year.
Right. Yeah.
Why is there wet cement?
And why is it wet at night, and it just so happens to start to solidify just as he lands in it?
Yeah. Now, I did like the concept of that, of the leprechaun stuck in the concrete. I think that's cool. That's fun.
Here's a weird thing about the ending. They go to a lot of trouble to climb to the top of the building. And I said, well, if a movie introduces people climbing to the top of the building, that means somebody's going to fall off before the end of it. But then we get the girl, Emily, and the leprechaun going down the old elevator into the furnace.
To the basement, yeah.
To burn him up. Then she just casually makes her way back to the roof to check on the guy. Rory, is that his name?
Yeah.
He got that Akira Michael Jackson red jacket on. So he has no hair, but he got the jacket. And she checks on him, and then boom, the leprechaun appears in his rainbow cloud. He's a little bit burnt up. And then they have to shoot him some more and knock him off the roof so he lands in the cement. It felt like it took a while to get to that point when they were telegraphing it so early. But
yeah, and why is there a furnace on in an abandoned building that hasn't been worked on in a year?
It needed to be. That's the only explanation. A better movie would have thought through the logic of that. Even just small details to make it more plausible. If you had James Cameron in his Terminator days, I felt like he would have crossed those T's, dotted those I's. Even Chris Columbus in Home Alone, he thinks about those little details.
Yeah. Well, in Leprechaun movies have always said, let's just move the plot along. But I think these are just a little more egregious in this movie.
Yeah.
And we're not distracted by a bunch of comedy either. So
yeah.
So I would like to get into ranking and rating the movies. Is there anything else that stands out in this one before we give it something out of 5?
Oh, let's see. When I first watched the movie, I heard the line as there must be about $1 million here, and I just assumed it was based off the 100 coin count. And the guy says, gold coin looks about 8 ounces. That's about $4,000 to $5,000 a piece. And it bugged me because I said, wait a minute, that mass would only be half of that. And then I went back and watched it, and they said 200 coins in here. So I'm surprised nobody got paid by Budweiser for product placement. There's a rival gang who is a lot less interesting than Ice Cube was in the first movie. What's the gang leader's name? Something real tough sounding, right?
Oh, I didn't write that down. I'm not
Isn't
sure.
it Watson? That's what he's Watson. That's how you ride a tough sounding gang leader in the hood. You call him Watson.
Okay. Brian Lee Watson. His real name is Sheikh Mahad Bey. They should have gone with his real name.
Yeah, call him the Sheik. The Sheik.
And then I guess one of his buddies, is Cedric. I don't know which character that was. Maybe that's a rapper that we weren't aware of because his real name is Sticky Fingers.
They should have gone with that.
I assume that's a stage name.
What do you think they spent the most money on in this movie, special effects or visual effects wise? There's some odd CGI that shows up in a few scenes.
Yeah, they gave the Leprechaun a new costume, but I don't know if that really blew the budget. I would imagine the furnace probably was expensive because there was obviously less fire in the room than there was on screen because the girl was way too close to it. They had a lot of CGI or special effects, however we want to call it, where like the coins kind of glisten. When he gets into fight with the witch, Esmeralda.
Yeah,
you get some purple balls being thrown by the witch, and then his eyes go bright red. And it's
a weird scene.
Yeah, and it really becomes a light versus darkness kind of thing, even though I'm not sure she's light. And you get some really cool leprechaun eyes, which I wish they would use anywhere else in any of his movies, where he basically Super Saiyans up to take down Esmeralda off screen.
Yeah, why did they spend the money on the visual effects and not even show us exactly what happened at the end of it or reference it at all when it was over?
All they have to do is have her fly out of a window. I mean, that's really all you have to see. So
yeah, and then it would parallel with him falling off the roof later into the cement, since we've seen that once.
The other little odd effect was every time he gets shot by the clover bullets, he has a little yellow puff of smoke come out of him, which he then sucks back in through his pores. I don't really understand what's going on there.
There's weird CGI blood on a couple of scenes. I think it happens to the Reverend and to him.
A couple of people bleed out, but they don't really bleed out, and I don't understand why. Like, a lot of blood came out of the Reverend. Not a lot of blood came out of the guy's leg.
I thought that was probably the best shot. However they rendered it when he was standing without a leg.
It was the best practical effect, but there was not enough blood coming out of his leg.
Well, yeah, and the scene leading up to it, it's very clear the way they cut it. The leprechaun lets go of his leg when he throws him into the car, and then he's missing the leg. And it's like, oh, could have done that slightly better. I like the effort there, but...
I really like the opening sequence. I wouldn't really call that special effects, but where they're kind of doing the storybook.
Well animated. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It looks good.
It makes me want a Warwick Davis Leprechaun cartoon.
Well, yes, it does. Absolutely.
And apparently, just before I forget, this movie was originally going to be on a tropical island in the middle of spring break.
Oh, the Leprechaun 6 Spring Break.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then the director-writer guy, Steven, I can't pronounce his last name, changed it to an urban environment. And they threw the 2 in the title. But yeah.
Well,
I could see why they were tempted to keep him in the hood. 5 was fun. But if you don't have a game plan, stick with what works. Different movie, different Leprechaun place.
Ultimately,
no
a wasted sequel based on how we ended number 5.
And I guess we should say the Leprechaun does not win in this movie like he did in part 5.
I wanted him to win, even though the characters were not as corrupted. When you introduce that he can win in the last movie, you start to expect that now. That there's going to be a decent chance he could come out victorious. Especially when it turns out this was the last one they made with Warwick Davis. You kind of hoping he would get to go out with a W. Damn.
So.
Oh, well.
What are we going to rate this thing off of?
There's a lot of bongs in the movie. A lot of weed. Friend was weed is a friend indeed. What are other options?
Well, that quote was in the last movie, though.
Okay. Huh.
Got clover water.
Nah.
We got batches of coins.
What about something about the silver bullets? Infinite Glock silver bullets or clover bullets?
We can do clover bullets.
Yeah. Clover infused silver bullets.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
I'm going to give this, I will give it 1 clover infused bullet and 1 jammed bullet in the clock.
Yeah, it was foreshadowed.
I'm going to give it the equivalent of 1.5. It's not completely awful. There's some there is some nice stuff in it, but it's a little too serious for a Leprechaun movie if you're going to be in the hood.
It would probably have worked if this one came first before In the Hood 1, as opposed to Back to the Hood. They really do a lot to make the movie less fun. And even though you mentioned the cast was pretty good, I feel like everybody is trying to make a more dramatic movie than they need to be in. I just don't think they're having fun with the source material. And I don't even know if Warwick Davis is having as much fun, because he doesn't get to do his rhymes anymore. So, I don't know. I want to give it somewhere between 1 bullet or 2 bullets, but you've already done the in-between. So, just because I'm grumpy that this is the last movie and he doesn't go out with a W, and even then his death scene isn't all that impressive. Even though I don't think it's as bad a movie as we've seen from other ones, I'm going to undercut you and give it 1 silver shamrock bullet out of 5.
I can respect that. And honestly, if this movie didn't have Jamie, it might be a half bullet.
Yeah. Oh, we should have seen more with Jamie and his dog. They should have worked the dog in a lot more to this movie.
Yeah, that scene in the house when the Leprechaun first gets there and he's high and stumbling around trying to kill people.
Yes, the peak of the movie.
I would have liked to have seen that the whole movie. I want to see Warwick Davis stoned out of his mind for an hour and a half, or at least pretending to be.
That could have evened the playing field. A stoned leprechaun.
All right, so is this your vote for the worst Leprechaun movie of the first 6? We'll leave Returns out of it. It's not. It's kind of separate.
Yeah, probably. I think 4 is pretty bad in a lot of ways in space, and I think 2 is disappointing in a lot of ways, but I still find 2 very, very memorable. The most memorable part about this movie to me, other than Warwick Davis getting stoned early on, is the exchange of Rory and Jamie on the ethics of ninja, of why that would be a term of endearment for each other.
Yeah, I think 2 is disappointing because it just seemed a little bit too small scale after the first one. This one is probably a worse movie than 2. I don't like either of them particularly well, but for completely different reasons. And I think both are worse than 4. I think 4...
It's just so crazy.
I like kind of the idea of the Space Queen, the banter he had going back and forth.
He had a sidekick.
Yeah. I mean, it had the Tool Time Girl in it. I didn't know it when first I watched it.
Heidi-ho!
Yeah, so I think 4 had enough going for it, where it was kind of fun in a stupid way. This was not really fun in any way. And I was amused at times, but not much. 2 still feels like a Leprechaun movie. This almost doesn't feel like a Leprechaun movie.
Yeah, and I agree with that.
I don't know. Leprechaun Back to the Hood. 2003. And I guess we'll try to do Origins. See if we can make it through it. And already recognizing that there's really no scenario where it's not the worst of the worst. Because I have watched part of that movie, and it was horrible.
Yeah.
Did not make it through the first time. So, all right. Well, I think that's been Leprechaun Back to the Hood.
Yep. I'm drinking a Shamrock Shake right now from McDonald's. Good night, everybody.
See y'all.